Good morning and welcome to Inside News. It's our Wednesday show, Jour du Galop, where we're going to talk about one or two races on the previous meeting. Well, obviously we had the weekend's racing. We're going to look at my two to follow. Then obviously the barrier trials and some sand work as well. Some horses that I've noticed are nominated this week. Had a look at their training. We're going to talk about it. Hopefully it'll help you find some winners on the weekend. In fact, it's our pleasure sort of to bring the training to you onto your phone or onto your laptop or however you watch our show, and it's always a pleasure to try and find you guys as many winners as possible. Let's talk about Saturday. Sunday. I wanted to talk about the feature race, Our Emperor. I thought that was a very, very good win. A bit of a surprise. I've noticed there's been a little bit of a trait as far as sort of fancied horses winning early on, and then we just get those outsiders and they just knock us out of everything. But Our Emperor, great win. You know, this horse has got some very, very good form in South Africa. In fact, I was at the races the day that he won the Chairman's Cup with Greg Sheen on over 3,200 meters, and he's obviously got all the stamina in the world, and he proved that on Sunday. It was a very, very good win by Our Emperor from the Alan Pedro stable. Stable's ticking over beautifully, and I thought that the young rider Akash Balu gave him a great ride. Very, very good ride from the youngster. In fact, he's doing very well. He had a good weekend's racing, and he's riding a couple of winners now. He's grabbing every chance with that he gets with two hands. Nice to see him riding a couple of winners. The favourite, the great one. Well, I must say, I didn't think he looked very comfortable at all in the race. He was in trouble quite a long way out, and I saw him hanging in quite badly with Daniel Stackhouse in the top of the straight, well, from the whole straight really. And then I went back to the Stipes report, and I see that he had lost a shoe as well, which obviously never helped his chances. But he's a good horse. I'm sure he's going to bounce back. You can't write him off. Maybe one or two little niggles. Like I said, he was hanging in quite badly. Maybe that was the shoe. Maybe he's feeling something. But I'm sure the stable will get him back together and get him back on track, because he's a decent horse, the great one, and hopefully we'll see him bounce back to his best. Manuel Nunes, well, it didn't take him long to find the winner's box. Some great rides, and I think he's a very, very good judge of pace from what I've seen. I think he's got a sort of, he might just have a little time clock in his brain, because he rides from behind. He rides from the front and even from behind. Just seems to be so well timed, and he looks like a very, very nice jockey in the making. I think with Amos Adol's horses coming to hand, they've got a very good jockey. I think they're going to finish off the season very well, and it's worthwhile following that stable. And Robbie Farrell, what can you say? Once again, that cracking ride of his, Giles Tiger, I thought it was from the top draw, and it's hard to believe that Robbie is, when he's walking around 53, 54 years old. And that was a cracking ride to get Giles Tiger up. I thought it was top draw, and well done to Robbie. And then, like I said, Akash Balu also had a great weekend. I think he's riding very, very well, and nice to see the. Well, there was some good racing on over the weekend. We had 16 races, and there was some exciting racing, and it just shows you that Mauritian racing is live and well. Let's talk about a couple of the jockeys who got suspended over the weekend. Imran Chisti, he got a week for Sir Capers, so he won't be riding. You never know whether or not the guys are going to take it straight away, or if they will sit out the next meeting and ride this week. But Imran Chisti got the week for Sir Capers. Swapnil Rama got 2 weeks for Heart of Darkness. And then Brandon Louis got 2 weeks with Independence, and the other apprentice, Jeremy Aliassine, got 1 week for Declarator, which a little bit of a pity for the two young apprentices who are fighting out for that Mauritian title. And obviously this is not going to help their cause at all, at any cost. So let's hope. Well, I mean, we're not going to see them for a meeting, and Brandon Louis in 2 meetings, but let's hope they bounce back, because I think it's going to be quite a fight out to the line to see who's going to pick up that title for the Mauritian jockey. Right, then our two to follow. Let's start. The first horse I want to talk about is Friday on My Mind from the Alan Pedro stable. I thought this was possibly the unluckiest loser I've seen this season. He was our value bet on Friday. Well, he was a value bet on Thursday, but he was heavily supported by his stables, and the money just poured onto him, and I thought he was very, very unlucky. I think his trouble started sort of as they were going over the road. He started travelling very well with Kirsi Ramsamy, and then he just had nowhere to go. There was a wall of horses in front of him, and sort of 8 times out of 10 the gap opens up for you know, when you come into the straight, you'll always find a little passage to get through, but he had absolutely no chance. You can't blame Kirsi Ramsamy at all. He just had no gap, and eventually when the gap did open, he sort of like he got squeezed slightly, and then he got squeezed again the second time, and he was a winner. If you have a look, a stride past the post, he was about a half a length clear of Hullabaloo, and definitely a very, very unlucky horse Friday on my mind. I think there's not enough money in the world that you can put on him next time. I think he'll be a very, very hard horse to beat, and very unfortunate, but that's racing, and we've got to take the good times with the bad times. Right, the next horse I want to talk about is Vision of Trust from the Pravin Nagadu stable. This was a much better run from this horse. It is his third run, and they showed a lot of pace today, on Sunday with Rakesh Bogariti. He was traveling very, very well. In fact, I thought maybe traveling too well, especially in 1,000 meters, and he never really sort of quickened up as well as he could have, maybe if he had been sort of like slightly off the bit or not traveling that well with those blinkers on, and came into the straight, went for that inside run. Unfortunately, Final Cup drifted onto the fence, and he had to sort of switch out, but he never really had to stop riding. But maybe that sort of switch out motion towards the outside possibly could have cost him second place. It was quite close for that second place, and nice to see him sort of showing his form, because remember, back in South Africa, he is a one-time winner and he won over 1,000 meters. So I think maybe his previous run, the 1400, was too far, and keep an eye on him when he sticks to this sort of category and over the 990 meters. I think it's going to suit him down to the ground. Nice to see one of Pravin Nagadu's horses running a great race early on in their career. Right, that was our two to follow. Let's talk about Tuesday morning's barrier trials. There were two barrier trials. I want to talk about both of them. The first one was with Never Fear, Pritam Dabby stable. He had the green jacket, and he did jump with the blanket. And then the great victory from Jean-Michel stable. He had to be repassed. He had the blue jacket. And then Bishop's Crown, a newcomer from Jean-Michel, he had the red jacket. Let's talk about Never Fear. Well, we did see him last week, and he gallops again this week, but he galloped with the blanket this time, and I think I told you he was bought as a 2-year-old. That's why his rating was 21, and he was very green in his only start in South Africa, but he did run on quite well, and I think that this horse is going to be a lot better than his rating of 21, especially when he sort of has a couple of gallops or maybe 1 or 2 races and he knows what it's all about. I think he's going to be quite a nice horse. Then the great victory, well, he had terrible behavior in South Africa. He's only had the 4 runs, but I see 3 times reared up badly in the stalls, and obviously they're trying to get him right. And he did win his second race, but it was a groom's race, which is a little bit of a worry, because those groom's races aren't always the strongest of races. But he wasn't disgraced after his 2 wins, and the only thing is I can't understand why he's been off for 20 months. Maybe it's his rude behavior behind the pens, or maybe he has had a little bit of a problem. But he galloped quite well, and maybe if he did have a problem, I can't say if he did or not, but seems to be over it. And then the grey gelding, Bishop's Crown, he only had the 1 run back in South Africa. It was quite a far. He got beaten quite easily by 14 lengths, and obviously he's still a very green horse, and I'm sure they're expecting a lot of improvement, especially as he matures. Still a very young horse, and I think he's also of quite a low rating, being a horse that has never won in South Africa. Okay, that was the first barrier trial. The second one was only 2 horses, and the first horse we want to talk about is Stockbroker from the Gajara stable. He wore the red blinkers. You can see Daniel Stackhouse had the black jacket on, and then King's Empire from Almoisad Oil stable, he had the yellow jacket. Stockbroker, well, I suppose he was a little bit disappointing last time. Well, I see they decided to fit blinkers on him, and I think it's definitely done the trick. In fact, I read a little article this morning, so Daniel Stackhouse saying that this horse felt very, very good with the blinkers, and he's only rated 25, this horse. I think he's a lot better than that, and he's been placed in Mauritius in only his, I think he's only had the 4 starts, but he's won and been placed, and I think he's definitely going to be worthwhile following. 0.25 with those blinkers, must be a horse to follow next time. And then King's Empire, well, he's had 14 starts back in South Africa for only the 1 win, but he has finished in the money quite a lot, and 2 worrying aspects about him is his sort of loss of form after he won, and also the fact that his best form seems to be on the poly track. But he galloped nicely as well. Let's hope he sort of adjusts to Mauritian racing. And well, there was a nice gallop next to Stockbroker. There's nothing to, I think it was probably quite a good gallop to work next to Stockbroker with those blinkers on. So King's Empire, let's maybe just wait and see when he steps out and see how he's going to perform. Alright, and then obviously we watched a couple of horses work on the sand. The first horse I want to talk about is Baritone. He worked with Charles Lytton, and this horse is still in scintillating form. Unbelievable how Jean-Michel has kept him as well as he is. Remember, he won that Princess Margaret Cup. He won it well. It was a weight for age though. I see he's entered this week in this week's feature. It is a handicap, so he's going to be slightly worse off at the weights. In fact, I think he's carrying 61 top weight. He is the top weight Baritone, but he's in very, very good condition, this horse. You can see him working next to Charles Lytton, and I wouldn't be surprised if this horse could pick up another race. Remember, when he wins his races, he wins them well. He always looks impressive, and I can tell you that he hasn't lost any of his form as far as I'm concerned. He really looked well. Okay, then we want to talk about Table Bay, and he worked alongside the Evergreen Tandraji, and I suppose most of us expected Table Bay to win last time in that Princess Margaret Cup. It was level weights, and he was very, very well in all the weights. And I did say I was a little bit worried about Baritone, but I thought Table Bay would probably give him a little bit more of a run for his money. But he's just like the Great One. He's a good horse, this Table Bay. You can't write him off. He's a very, very good horse, especially when he does run at those weight for ages, like the Gold Cup and those sort of races. I'm surprised he's not in that race on Saturday. Well, this Saturday coming, but I would imagine they must have other plans for Table Bay. Obviously, they want to build him up to the Gold Cup, and they must obviously have their own sort of plan for Table Bay. And he works alongside Tandraji, and Tandraji, well, it's amazing how this horse just keeps on working well and still sort of loves his racing career, Tandraji. Right, then we're going to talk about Hard Day's Night from the Rameshwar Gajara stable. Now, this horse worked very, very well, and he's had a phenomenal 2018 season. He's never been out the first two. He's been beaten twice by Baritone, once in a handicap and one in a weight for age, and obviously he's going to be a lot better off this time at the weights. In fact, I think I think he's going to be 2.5 kilograms better off this time, Hard Day's Night. But he's really working well, and he's really maintained his condition very well. Well done to the stable, the Rameshwar Gajara stable, keeping Hard Day's Night as well as he is. He really caught my eye on Tuesday morning, and he's going to be a big runner on Saturday, Hard Day's Night, especially the fact that it's a handicap. Right, then we're going to talk about Rapid Tack. He worked alongside Wild Horizon, and well, Rapid Tack finally got it all together last time. It took him a long time to pick up his first win, but I've noticed throughout my career as a rider and in racing, a lot of horses, when they crack that first win, they come out and they win again. They get a little bit of confidence, and I think maybe Rapid Tack was lacking a little bit of confidence. He looks very, very well, and it was excellent work next to Wild Horizon, and obviously Manuel Nunes. Like I said, I think he's a top rider. The stable's coming into form, and it's definitely going to be worthwhile following the Sir Doyle and the Nunes combination, and I wouldn't be surprised if Rapid Tack and even Wild Horizon as well, that was nice work as well, I wouldn't be surprised if they came out and won next time. Right, let's talk about New Golden Age from the Alan Pedro stable, and well, he finally got it all together, just like Rapid Tack. Like I said, another horse that probably lacked a bit of confidence. I liked him in that 0-20 last time. I thought he was just going to be too good for them, and he proved me right. He won a very good race, and he beat Anton Ruskin on that occasion, and just like Rapid Tack, gained a little bit of confidence. Obviously, he won't be able to run in 0-20 again because he's got the 4 pound penalty, and he's now rated 24. But I still believe New Golden Age is good enough to win in 0-25. He's also definitely worthwhile following him again. I think with that sort of confidence, and he could probably just come out and win a 0-25 again. I think he's better than 25 in my opinion. It's taken a little bit of time for the penny to drop with him, but now with that one win under the belt, he could just go on to win 1 or 2 more races. Right, then let's talk about the Brass Bell from the Jour set stable. It was a horrible start last time. He sort of jumped very slow, and he was very slow into stride. In fact, one stage he must have been about 5 or 6 lengths behind the second last horse, but he did make up the ground beautifully. He really ran on well, and he ran second to that horse Henry Tudor. And I remember speaking to Robbie Fred maybe 1 or 2 days after the race, and I asked him what he thought had gone wrong early on in the race. He said the horse just sort of like really, I wouldn't say refused to gallop, but he just, Robbie was at him and he just couldn't keep up with the speed. But he really made out some nice ground towards the end there. Remember, he's only had 3 runs this season, so maybe he's feeling a little bit of a problem. especially when horses sort of can't really keep up with that pace early on, but as they warm up, they run on quite nice. And maybe it'll be, I think, well, I know with horses that sort of don't jump and slow into stride, give him a nice warm up before the race, a nice trotter around the stalls, and get him to load late. And hopefully, if he does jump a lot better than he did last time, well, he'll definitely come out and win. I mean, you just have to look at Henry Tudor's win that following start, and the form line's good, and I think that the brass bell looks like he's striding out quite well, so definitely going to keep an eye on the brass bell. Right, then we're going to move back to Alan Pedro's stable, where he had Al Mariachi, and well, that was a very, very impressive win. He's on his start before in that 1400 from that bad draw, and that's exactly what he did in South Africa. There's a lot of speed, this horse. And I think maybe the 990 is not ideally suited for him, because he's got a lot of speed, but probably not as much speed as a couple of sprinters in his category. And he was just pulling too hard, in my opinion. He was trying to climb over them, and he just couldn't sort of quicken up. And I would like to see this horse back in a 1400, even a 1365. That's when he's got a lot more speed than his sort of rivals. And from that speed as well, he quickens up very, very well in a 1400. So Al Mariachi, I'm going to sort of forgive him for that defeat in the 990. I don't think he's ideally suited to that sprint. He's going to be a much better horse in the 1400. And it'll be nice to see when he steps out again, Al Mariachi. Right, and then Argo Solo from Ricky Maingard's stable. Well, that was a terrific win last time, and I thought Riaz Hulash gave him a great ride. He managed to get this horse to settle, which he hasn't really done previously. And, you know, Riaz Hulash got some very soft hands, and he really got this horse to settle nice. And I think that this horse, the better he settles, the better he quickens. You just have to look when this horse wins his races. He's winning margins. He's a good horse. He wins by a good couple of lengths. He really wins his races well. He stamps his authority. But I think he's a lot better when he's a settled horse. And I think Riaz is, from what I saw last time, he really got him. He probably has got the better of Argo Solo. So I wouldn't be surprised if he does ride him again. I see he's entered in 2 races this week. He's entered in a benchmark 51 over 1450, and he's in the feature race where he's only carded to carry 52 kilograms. So it'll be interesting to see where Argo Solo is going to run on Saturday. But I can tell you he's in very, very good condition and very form. I've always liked this horse, Argo Solo. I did a little bit of work with him at the beach as well, and he's a very, very good horse. And if he settles and ridden well, he can run. Right, and then the last horse of the morning, well, of our show, it was Horse Guards. Taken, well, he's from Pritam Davi's stable, and this horse, I've really taken a liking to this horse. Every time I see him, he catches my eye. He's a lovely moving horse. He's a nice horse, and he's got some very solid South African form. He beat Sprint of the Year Attenborough back in South Africa, which is nothing to be sneezed at. He's a 3-time winner, and I think that this horse will be ideally suited to the sprint, the 990. In fact, I'll go as far as to say I think 1365, even 1400. You'll see a nice horse, and I'm really looking forward to seeing the debut of Horse Guards. Like I said, every time he comes out onto the track, he catches my eye, and he looks like he's a flashy looking horse, and I think he's going to be a very, very good buy for the Pritam Davi stable. Okay, that's a wrap. Thanks very much for well, taking the time to watch our show. Hopefully some of our videos or some of the training, even the barrier trials, even our 2 to follow, it has helped you. And once again, I just carry on. I just have to say thank you for all the support that I get on the show. Myself and Shahil as well. He's very thankful to you guys as well. He will be with me on Friday when we're going to preview the card for Saturday's meeting. Hopefully we can find you a couple of winners, and we'll catch up with you then. Thank you very much. Goodbye.